Okay guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. Alright guys, I'm back and it is Sunday, September 6th, and rumor has it that tomorrow's going to be the 7th. Imagine that! Well, happy Labor Day to everyone, and I hope you had and are having a very good weekend. Most of you will probably have an extended weekend for Labor Day, and that's always a good thing. So anyway, let's get into the news, and let's see here. I do have 3 people to thank. Ray of Light, Christine Cunningham, and Bitten6510. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. And I know that probably all of my regular listeners have heard this by now, but if not, I want to reiterate again that I do appreciate your support, whether on Patreon or Coffee or however. It's always appreciated. But Patreon does support Black Lives Matter. A lot of people feel uncomfortable with that, as well as I do as well, but I didn't know of any other service that offered, monthly subscriptions, but Coffee now is offering monthly subscriptions. And the thing with them is that you get 100% of the income if you give to a creator through Coffee monthly. Then every single penny goes to that creator. So it actually is more bang for your buck, really, because it actually goes into the hands that you want it into. So there you go. And I thank you all. For those of you that have switched over already, it's great. And I really appreciate it. So anyway, there's always in the description, there are always links to my Patreon, Coffee, and also my book, and the t-shirt store. If you're interested in any of that, there are some cute masks, which I hate wearing masks, but here we don't have a choice. If you want to get into a grocery store, you're going to have to put on a mask. So so if you have to wear a mask, well, why not have a cute one? Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the news now, because that's why you're here, I would hope. There have been no Q posts. I've been checking up because the last post that he did, we covered that actually, because I do think it's important going into the election, because I think there are some interesting tidbits that we can glean from that. That doesn't change the fact that I am not entirely comfortable with Q, but I think you all know that. And as long as I make that clear, I don't see any reason why I can't cover that as if it was news, because really it is. All right, well, let's get into the news now, and I will stop talking your hind leg off, and we will get into the news. And there's lots today, believe it or not. I thought it would be a slow week on the weekend, but it's not. There's just stuff happening every day. So this I thought was very interesting, and I wanted to show you guys because, well, number one, I absolutely adore horses, and I always have. It's been my lifelong dream to have a horse, and I don't now because it's hard to have a horse when you're in an apartment. But anyway, let's look at these horses and how they react to the LGBTQ sidewalk or painted on the road. Let's just look. It doesn't really need an explanation. So, all right. This is in England. And look, they will not cross over that rainbow. Even the horses know. They will not. They are terrified of it.
Brilliant.
So they walk around it, but you'll notice neither horse, that the rider makes that horse step over it, but he did not like it at all. They are literally afraid of that. And I think that that's interesting. The horses have more sense than people, don't they, at times? So there you go. I thought that was quite fascinating. And let's go back now, because there's always more. This is from Trump's #1 supporter. I don't know about that. I think, there's probably a lot of people competing for Trump's #1 supporter. But hey, a woman who is third in line to have the nuclear access codes is claiming she got set up by a salon business owner. Think about that. Yeah, if a salon owner can get the best of her, really, should she have that type of access? I would think not. You know, yeah, blame the salon owner. Okay. Still doesn't, did the salon owner tell her that she couldn't wear a mask inside? Is that what she's talking about? We know that's a bunch of hooey. Let's continue on. This outraged me. This is the front page of the Daily News, New York's hometown newspaper. And let's look what's on the cover of this. They're quite mad. And of course, we have a Q here with the little devil horns and a very unflattering picture of President Trump, which I don't believe has not been altered. It may not have been. It might have just been an unflattering angle. But that is a horrible picture. And let me tell you, they did that on purpose. So it says, bizarre QAnon cult thriving on web sees Satan-loving pedophiles trying to destroy America. And Trump says, they like me. Yeah, taken a little bit out of context, I would say. But yeah, that is what we're dealing with leading up to the election. They're going to make Trump try to look as bad as they possibly can, and which includes making fake articles. The Atlantic, you know, ran that article that Trump had put down the servicemen and veterans that were interned at cemetery in Paris, I think it was. And so, yeah, they're going to do stuff like that, even though we know that Trump has only been respectful of the military. He has rebuilt the military that Obama had systematically torn down. You know, President Trump has put a lot of money into rebuilding the military and including redoing the vet hospitals and so forth to make that easier. He has done numerous things and always spoken very respectfully of the military and police. So I think everyone is well aware of what the Democrats are doing, but that doesn't stop them because they think that, oh, well, there's always stupid people that will believe it. And unfortunately, they're right. So anyway, let's continue on down here. Now, we definitely should get to this because I have noted here that it's very, very important. Not just important, very, very important. All right, let's look at this. Now, yes, COVID-19 is the Trojan horse to usher in the New World Order, the Great Reset. Now, I've been telling you that I felt that for a long time now. And I do believe that I am right about that. Of course, I may not be, and I will, if I am not correct, I will come to you and apologize. So let's give a listen to this. It's 2 minutes and 18 seconds, and I'll make it bigger for you tiny phone people, because you know how I feel about my tiny phone people. All right.
The Trump administration a danger to the world that will disappear in 2020.
Now, if you're not understanding his accent, and sometimes it's difficult because you're hearing this, you know, secondhand, really. He's saying Trump is a danger to the world that will disappear in 2020, if not before. Well, he's made it this far, and you know, without a whole lot of cheating, there's absolutely no way he will not get into office, but they are determined he won't. Anyway, let's continue on.
What if I told you that Bill Gates, Greta Thunberg, Al Gore, George Soros, Prince Charles, and Cardinal Turkson were meeting in the mountains to plot a global new order to be established on the back of the COVID pandemic? An outrageous movie plot? Or is it absolutely true?
Absolutely true.
Here's where the leaders of the world are admitting exactly what I'm saying, that this is a Trojan horse. Mm-hmm. Now in Davos, they call it the Great Reset.
That's right.
And it's scheduled now to kick off in January 2021.
Now is the historical moment, the time, not only to fight the severe virus, but to shape the system.
We have a unique but rapidly shrinking window of opportunity to learn lessons and reset ourselves on a more sustainable path.
What is it that would make it so that history would look at this crisis as the great opportunity for reset?
The Great Reset is a welcome recognition that this human tragedy must be a wake-up call.
That's the Davos Summit. And the Great Reset, they need President Joe the Catholic Biden to hand us, the United States, over to them
That's
if
right.
he wins this election. This is why they're trying so hard
That's
to take
right.
Donald Trump down. Biden is not a serious candidate. We can all agree on that, right? He's not serious. The poor fellow. He's in his dotage now. So what are they doing? They don't want a serious candidate. I'm not talking about on the right. I'm talking about on the left. They don't want someone who's going to be serious. Everyone with a pulse knows Joe Biden can't do this job. What's he doing there then? In my opinion, he's the personified monument to the U.S. presidency that the mob will tear down in January. They need to reset everything, including the politics of the United States, the governance of the United States. Besides that, old Joe the Catholic Biden has always been a New World Order guy.
Absolutely.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order.
Now, I do want to come back to this, not today's video, but I do want to do a separate video on this Great Reset. I see great danger in this Great Reset. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, it's all good and it's all wonderful. No, I don't see it like that. I see this as the Great Reset is the chance to bring in the New World Order, and that is what they're intending on doing. Joe Biden will give it over to them because he doesn't have any loyalty to America at all, nor does he have any loyalty to the American people. So he will have no problem selling the country out to them and giving it over freely. Whereas President Trump, not so much. Not so much. So, yeah, they know that Donald Trump is a great danger to the world, but is he really? Well, he's a great danger to their world plans, that's for sure. And I believe that I hope I'm right about this, that he's there for such a time as this, and that he is buying us more time. Eventually, we know, if you are a believer, we know that the world will be part of a one world government that will be brutal. It will be a brutal dictatorship run by the Antichrist. Now, if you don't believe that, we can still respect one another and agree to disagree. Absolutely. That is just what I believe. So this is a very, very interesting clip here. Very interesting. And I think everybody needs to pay attention to it. So let's go back now, and because there's lots of stuff to get to tonight. And here is something else, and it said this should scare every American. Well, not that I'm trying to scare anyone, but I am trying to educate, open eyes. Not that I have all the answers. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I have all the answers. In fact, a lot of you offer me corrections and little tidbits of information that I appreciate. And I appreciate being corrected as well, because I would rather be corrected and pass that correction on to you and apologize than because we're about truth, right? We're not about me being right. I don't care about being right. I just want the truth. Now, I do want to bring this up right now because it's something that I said. It could have been in the last video. I think it was in the last video. I was talking about the death in Rochester, New York, and I said that I had seen the video and it looked very much that he was murdered. Okay, well, somebody set me straight on that, and I was incorrect. Now, I am going to find out exactly what happened there, and I am going to bring that to you at a later time, but I want you to know that I was completely inaccurate. What they put over his head was a mesh bag that helps with whatever. It is standard procedure, apparently. So yeah, it wasn't like it looked. Let's just put it that way. And somebody corrected me on that, and I'm very thankful for that. So I'm passing that along. Now, let's get to this. Again, not that we want to scare anybody, but look at this right here. And this person, Tracy, said this right here should scare the F out of you. Now, we're going to listen to this. I'm going to make it bigger for my tiny phone people, but let's get back to the start. All right, notice here, this is geared toward Muslim Americans, okay? And you can see by the writing that it's being translated for them so that they can understand what Biden is saying. So let's give a listen. This is 1 minute and 56 seconds, and we are going to listen to it in its entirety.
The Muslim ban on day one. Day one. These from the Prophet Muhammad instructs, whomever among you sees a wrong, let him change it with his hand. If he is not able, then with his tongue. If he is not able, then with his heart.
Make no mistake, people. 2020 is our year. Let's dive into it with 2020 vision. We can see clearly that America is fighting for its very soul.
We all come from the same root here in terms of our fundamental basic beliefs. And I just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, for being engaged, for committing to action this November. It mattered. Your voice is your vote. Your vote is your voice. Muslim American voices matter. I'll be a president who seeks out and listens to and incorporates the ideas and concerns of Muslim Americans on everyday issues that matter most to our communities. That will include having Muslim American voices as part of my administration.
But getting out the vote, getting our families out the vote, getting our elderly out the vote, getting our masjids out the vote, getting our neighborhoods out the vote. So let's do our part and join the largest Muslim voter mobilization in America, the Million Muslim Votes campaign. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's make our voices heard. Because we got the means, we got the numbers, and we got the power. From the streets to the city hall.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? And if you missed it, because it was clipped there at the beginning of it, he said that he's going to reverse the Muslim ban on day one, that he's going to make Muslims part of his administration. And that, he's going to open up the borders. You know that he's going to allow a flood of immigrants in, legal and illegal. And yeah, the greatest Muslim voter mobilization. That is what he's appealing to. So, yeah, I think that should scare us. And he says, our beliefs are all the same fundamentally. No, they're not. Because my religion, my faith, teaches me to do unto others as I would have them do unto me. And also to do no harm. Yeah, there's something about somebody that wants to cut my head off that I don't find very friendly. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just don't like the thought of having my head cut off. Just saying. All right, let's go back now because there's more. And let's go into this. I put that it's important, so must be. All right. Yes. Isn't this wonderful? I love this. 10 witnesses go on the record stating Atlantic report on Trump denigrating troops is a lie. Now, this is from yesterday, but it's still fresh because I've had saran wrap over it. And I put it in the fridge overnight. Okay, 4 more witnesses have gone on the record to say that the Atlantic's anonymously sourced report claiming President Trump has called dead soldiers losers and suckers is false, bringing the total to 10. Mick Mulvaney, former acting White House chief of staff, shot down the Atlantic's report, saying, as you can all probably imagine, I have seen more than my share of outrageous and false attacks on the president over the last few years. But this whole injured soldiers thing really, really pushes the envelope. So just to be clear, these claims are simply outrageous. I never heard the president disparage our war dead or wounded. In fact, the exact opposite is true. I was with him at the 75th anniversary of the D-Day invasion in Normandy. As we flew over the beaches by helicopter, he was outwardly in awe of the accomplishments of the Allied forces and the sacrifices they paid. Johnny DiStefano, former counselor to the president, also disputed the report, saying, "I was on this trip. The Atlantic bit is not true, period." And there he is on Twitter saying that exact same thing. And because somebody said, this seems like a pretty rock solid rebuttal to the Atlantic piece. It's not like John Bolton was doing Trump any favors in his memoir. And Johnny DiStefano said, "I was on this trip. The Atlantic bit is not true, period." Derek Lyons, staff secretary and counselor to the president, and Dan Walsh, former White House deputy chief of staff, have also both denied the report. White House press secretary Kayleigh McEnany said on Friday that Lyons said in a statement, let's move down here, "I was with the president the morning after the scheduled visit. He was extremely disappointed that arrangements could not be made to get him to the site and that trip had been canceled, and that the trip had been canceled. I have worked," remember, there was a rainstorm and the helicopter, it was not good enough weather to fly the helicopter there, and it was a very long journey. It was several hours journey by car. So it says, "I have worked with the president for his entire administration. One of my responsibilities is working with him on the many letters he signs to the families of our nation's fallen heroes. In all my time at the White House, I have never heard him utter a disparaging remark of any kind about our troops. In my view, he holds the brave men and women of our armed forces in the highest regard." And I don't know how that isn't blatantly obvious to everyone, because he makes it well known that he respects the military. It's not a secret how he feels about the military, and he certainly would never make disparaging remarks toward people who had served their country as they have. McEnany then read Walsh's statement. I can attest to the fact that there was a bad weather called in France and that the helicopters were unable to safely make the flight. Overall, the president's support and respect for our American troops, past and present, is unquestionable. All of this comes after former National Security Advisor John Bolton, who is a fierce Trump opponent, went on the record and disputed the Atlantic's report. I didn't hear either of those comments or anything even resembling them. I was there at the point in time that morning when it was decided that he would not go to, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, the cemetery. Bolton told Fox News he decided not to do it because of John Kelly's recommendation. It was entirely a weather-related decision, and I thought the proper thing to do. I never heard he made that kind of comment about another country's forces either. No. So if John Bolton is saying that, and he's a fierce Trump opponent, then really you would think that he would lie and say, oh yeah, he said that. No. And the thing is, he wouldn't want to fly the helicopters there and put anyone else in danger. That would have been worse, because that would have been splashed all over the news. He put them in danger, whatever. So Fox News correspondent John Roberts further added, John Bolton told me today that if Donald Trump had said he didn't want to visit the cemetery because the interred heroes were losers and suckers, he would have written an entire chapter about it in his book, The Room Where It Happened. The Daily Caller News Foundation also reported this week that the owner of the Atlantic is a Biden megadonor who is in frequent contact with the person who authored the report. The Daily Wire, okay, well, we know that. All right, so that's good news that we know with beyond a shadow of a doubt that he didn't say those things. But we really didn't need 10 people to verify it, because I think we already knew in our hearts that he would not say something like that. Now, there are things that I could imagine him saying. That's not one of them. All right, let's go back now. And, well, I said this was important too, so let's click on that. Now, yes. Well, this is one of those things that'll make you go, huh? Breaking news information. Can someone explain why these tests were purchased in 2018? And what are they? They are COVID-19 Strategic Preparedness and Response Program. And yeah, they ordered these tests for COVID back in 2018. Wait a minute. How can that be? There was no COVID-19 back then. Was there? Oh, or did they just know that it was coming? Funny how that happens, isn't it? Yeah. Well, let's go on. And I love this. This praying medic posted this on Twitter, and Ted Cruz picked it up and retweeted it. So I thought it was worth showing you guys if you haven't seen it. It says, due to COVID-19, we are asking rioters to work at home and destroy their own stuff. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, don't you? Yeah, I thought so too. And apparently Ted Cruz thought it was a good idea too. Now, let's look at this, which I think is incredibly sad. U-Haul trucks set ablaze by protesters owned by black man who placed black owned sign outside. He's livid. And well, he should be. I thought that Black Lives Matter. I guess they don't, do they? Because they seem to like to burn down black owned businesses. I'm not sure about that because, you know, I guess their lives don't matter, or their livelihoods rather. So, a Rochester man is livid after his business was targeted by protesters ostensibly outraged over the death of Daniel Prude, a black man who died about a week after an interaction with the Rochester Police Department back in March, as more violent rioting took place Saturday night, lasting into early Sunday morning. Protesters torched a store that encompassed a U-Haul service, a store owned by a black man, leaving at least 3 of the vehicles destroyed by the alleged arson. And remember, if it's destroyed through rioting, it's not covered. It's not covered. Your insurance won't cover that. So lovely. Multiple trucks on fire at U-Haul on State Street at Brown Rochester Fire, just leaving now. And here is more images here. There is one. Yeah, and this is that fellow's livelihood. This is how he puts food on the table, feeds his kids, you know. See, that's incongruous. That doesn't mesh somehow. If Black Lives Matter, then why aren't they protecting black-owned businesses from being damaged like this? I mean, it doesn't seem that this has anything to do with Black lives. And ding, 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 it doesn't. It has to do with raising a whole bunch of money for the Democrats and making Trump look bad. But it's backfiring on them because people have had enough. They have had enough. So, and here it says 3 U-Haul trucks destroyed at J Ribs on State Street. Owner Jesse Barksdale says he was bounced out of bed to respond. Says he bounced out of bed to respond, livid over the destruction of his business. Wouldn't you be? I would be. I mean, they are, and he probably employed people at this business as well, so they're out of a job. Yeah, they really care about Black lives, don't they? WEEC News 10 journalist Charles Molyneux captured photos of the destruction and the business owner, Jesse Barksdale. According to the photos, it appears Mr. Barksdale placed a proud to be black owned sign outside the business, which was clearly ignored by rioters allegedly protesting racial injustice. Yeah, that's the way to protest racial injustice. Burn down black owned businesses. Yeah, way to go, people. You really made your point. Which, the point that you made is the fact that you don't have a point, except the one on the top of your head. All right, let's move on now, because there's more. There's always more. And let's look at this. Okay, remember how all we heard from 2016 all the way up until 2020, all we've heard is, well, it kind of backed off for a while when they proved that there was no Russian interference. But now it's all fired up again. Yeah, there's Hillary jumping in and Kamala and, lots of people. Yeah, we're on to the Russia again. They just can't give that up. So let's take a look at this. Shall we? Of course we shall. Why wouldn't we? Kamala Harris. Biden could lose because of Russian interference. So you see, they already have that narrative, don't they? They have that narrative all ready to just whip right out. That, oh, well, you know why? You know why Biden lost? Is because of Russian interference. That's why. Same thing that they did with Hillary. Well, Hillary lost because the Russians interfered. That's all it was. It's not the fact that Trump won. It's the fact that Russians interfered. That's it. Bunch of sore losers. That really, they can't just say, well, you know what? We ran a good fight and we lost. Nope, not them. Democratic vice presidential candidate Senator Kamala Harris said on Sunday's broadcast of CNN's State of the Union that Russian election meddling could cause Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden to lose the 2020 election. And you know what? She shouldn't be able to say things like that without providing proof. Concrete proof. Host Dana Bash said, I want to ask about Russia. The Department of Homeland Security bulletin said that Russia is trying to amplify claims that mail-in voting will lead to widespread voting fraud and undermine the public's trust in the upcoming election. Are you worried that Russian interference could cost you the election? Harris said, I am clear that Russia interfered in the election of the President of the United States in 2016. Yes, even though they spent millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars only to prove that that claim was false. But then Harris is just going back to it, trying to incite it all over again. And you know why? Because that's what they do. They're blaming Trump for inciting violence. Are you kidding me? He's the only voice of reason we hear these days. Harris said, I am clear that Russia interfered in the election of the President of the United States in 2016. I serve on the Senate Intelligence Committee. We have published detailed reports about exactly what we believe happened, and I do believe that there will be foreign interference in the 2020 election and that Russia will be at the front of the line. Bash said, could it cost you the White House? Harris said, theoretically, of course, yes. She added, we have classic voter suppression. We have what happened in 2016, which is foreign interference. We have a president who is trying to convince the American people not to believe in the integrity of our election system. That's because they're broken. And I think everybody's aware of that, Kamala, except you, because you have your head up, way up into your hinder parts. Anyway, these things are all at play, and I'm very realistic. Joe is very realistic that until we can win, there will be many, many obstacles that people are intentionally placing in front of Americans' ability to vote. Right. These people are so despicable, and the American people have had enough. And I am seeing all over Twitter again and again and again, people saying, you know, my mother is a staunch Democrat, but she's voting for Trump. And this person they were a never Trumper, but now they're voting for Trump. People are waking up every day, and these people are overplaying their cards and making people wake up and say, look, you know, people like Pelosi, people see through that it's just, she feels entitled. She feels a sense of privilege. And then when caught, she doesn't even apologize. She says, well, the only thing I'll apologize for is being set up. Yeah, give me a break. And, you know, this whole Russia thing, I mean, I think America has had it up to here with Russia. Really. So anyway, I was just giving you a heads up that they're trying that again. They're playing that same old tired card because I guess they don't have many cards to play. You know, if they realistically think that Joe Biden, who cannot put a sentence together, even in that ad he did, you could tell that that was clipped. You know, he'd probably speak a few words and they'd clip it and they'd, you know, he'd go on because he can't maintain a conversation with anyone that makes any sense at all. And we've all seen that. All right. Let's go back now, and yeah, Yeah, I think we've covered this military hit piece on Trump enough. I don't think we need to revisit that. I think that we all know exactly what happened and that it was, not truthful. All right, now let's look at this, because, when the Democrats start getting on the bandwagon with Russia, well, who else is going to jump in there? Well, Pelosi, of course. What else would you expect from her? Pelosi, Trump is an accomplice in Putin's attempt to undermine our democracy. So they're just going back to the exact same talking points that they had in 2016. It didn't work then, but they did manage in, keeping Trump's hands tied. But look at everything that he got done with his hands behind his back. Really. Seriously. And poor Trump, he's trying to have a battle of the wits with an unarmed man. I feel bad for Trump. Really, I do. I mean, I would get so worn down by this and so discouraged and depressed, because I'd think, is there no one that sees? I mean, the press all turns a blind eye. I keep saying I don't get it, but I don't. I really don't. So, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi said Sunday on MSNBC, in the other room I can hear my phone mooing. I've got a cow mooing on my phone. Very, very realistic cow. And let me tell you, when my phone goes off at the grocery store or when I'm shopping, everybody looks and says, what's that? Yeah. I should change it, but anyway. But I hear it mooing in the other room, so if you hear something mooing, it's not my cats and it's not me, it's my phone. All right. Well, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi said Sunday on MSNBC that President Donald Trump was an accomplice, no less, to Russian President Vladimir Putin's attempt to undermine America's democracy. Yeah, well, what are you doing, Nancy Pelosi, if it's not undermining America's democracy? When asked if Trump is engaged in voter suppression, Pelosi said, yes, indeed. I think that's exactly what his purpose is. It's to say, why should you vote? Your vote will not be voted as cast. It's a tactic that must be ignored. Leader Schumer, take me to your leader. Leader Schumer and I are writing to colleagues about this very subject that again undermines the legitimacy of our elections, and it's in Putin's style, and Putin likes to discredit democracy, ours or others around the world. The president is being an accomplice in that, and what he is saying. He continued, in under 60 days, we'll have the election and have the results, and we want to have people know that they can vote and not have to risk their health in order to cast their votes. Oh no, but she can run around and get her hair done in a salon with no mask on. Yeah, so I think it's safe enough to vote, don't you? She obviously thought it was safe to run around with no mask on, so hey. Anyway, no matter what the president says about vote twice, everyone should know that's wrong, and he has been told that, even though his attorney general, again, is a henchman of the president in that regard. It pains me to say that on a prayerful Sunday morning. Oh, please. The only person she's praying to is Satan. Give me a break. But nonetheless, the facts must be faced. I mean, she's a staunch supporter of abortion and everything else that she's done. She's the most crooked person. Well, maybe Maxine Waters gives her a run for her money there. But she's crooked, and yet she likes to play the religious card when it suits her. And only when it suits her. Even though his attorney general, again, is a henchman of the president in that regard, it pains me to say this on a prayerful Sunday morning. But nonetheless, the facts must be faced. Yeah, she added, I don't know what Putin has on the president politically, personally, or financially. We'll find out when we see the president's tax returns. But I do know he has engaged in these kinds of activities in other countries in order to discredit democracy, in order to discredit, okay, they wrote that twice, and that our own president should be an accomplice to that just raises so many questions. Yeah, it raises a lot of questions about you, Nancy. And yeah, the thing is, a person is supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, which he's never been proven guilty. That's never mattered to them. And the only reason they want their the tax returns is so they can look for something. You know, that's all. They've tried everything else. They've tried the stripper and goodness knows what else. Nothing's worked out for them because he is Teflon Don. And, you know, that doesn't work. So now let's get his tax returns and see if there's anything in there that we can ruin him over. Unbelievable, these people, really. Like, and really, if these people are not brought to justice, no one is safe in America. And I mean that sincerely. No one is safe. Because if they can do that to a president, they can do that to you and me. All right, let's go back now. And, yeah, I'm not going to get into this because we don't have, well, I mean, there's a lot to get through. But, yeah, a woman that was dead for 6 months got a letter in the mail saying that she was positive for COVID. I hate that when dead people get COVID. Seriously. Someone needs to address that. I don't know if there's medication they can give the dead people. I don't know. What do you do? What do you do if your dead loved one gets COVID? I mean, what are you supposed to do? I would have been shocked. You know, really, if I'd been dead for 6 months and got a letter in the mail that said that I had COVID, I'd be shocked. Really. Okay, well, here we go. We're going on to the next. And, yeah, 100th night of Portland riots is lit. Literally. Antifa lights themselves on fire 5 minutes into the march. Officers attempted to put him out. Well, I don't like to see anybody seriously burned. I really don't. But, you know, you play stupid games and you win stupid prizes. That's how it works. So, yeah. And it says, notice how incompetent in attending to him. He is saved by the police. They were just attacking. Yeah, he was just attacking the police and the police saves him. So let's take a look at this. But first, let me make it bigger. Yeah, I'm looking out for you guys, you tiny phone guys. I like you.
Fucking idiot.
It's the police that end up saving him. Peaceful protesting. Yeah, peaceful. Or mostly peaceful. Yeah, and I do feel, I don't, you know, relish the thought of this guy. I mean, he obviously got very severe burns on his legs. And he is fortunate that they were able to get it put out. And he's fortunate that it wasn't, you know, that it didn't spread up his legs and whatever. But I can imagine his shoes are probably melted to his feet. So it's not going to look pretty for him either way. I mean, no matter what, he's going to have a long recovery for those burns. It says feel good video of the day. Now, I don't agree with that. That doesn't make me feel good seeing somebody burnt that badly. Now, I can't say that he didn't deserve it. He is Antifa. And, you know, he was playing stupid games and he obviously won a very stupid prize. So, yeah. Anyway, and here's another angle. I'm not going to play this, but graphic, another angle of the person being set on fire by a Molotov cocktail thrown by Antifa militants in Southeast Portland. Rioters try to help but don't do much. Cops are the one who rush in and put out the flames. And, you know, really, he was rolling around and doing the right thing, but I think these guys were, I don't know why somebody didn't put on the jacket and smother the fire, take off their jacket and smother the fire, but no, I guess they wanted to let him burn for a while. I don't know. These people are not real competent. So thank goodness that the police were there. Then they arrested a bunch of them, which may have actual charges and time since they attacked the OSP, who were deputized as federal agents. Day 100, I haven't seen this many arrests in one night since the federal courthouse protest days. Portland police and the Direct Action March have clashed over and over near Ventura Park. So let's go on from that, see what else is happening in the world. And yeah, let's look at this. This is important, I think. All right, this from Breitbart. Party's over. Trump orders purge of critical race theory from federal agencies. You gotta love Trump. I don't know. If he doesn't get back in, we're sunk. Really. Hang on here. 1 second. All right. At the direction of President Trump, the White House Office of Management and Budget will move to identify and eliminate any trace of critical race theory in the federal government. Critical race theory is the leftist, racist doctrine that forms the intellectual underpinnings of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and other radical organizations currently engaged in unrest on America's streets. It alleges, among other things, that the United States is a white supremacist country and that all white people are guilty of racism, whether they intend it or not. President Trump has brought the issue of far-left indoctrination to the forefront of the national conversation in recent months. It was a major theme of the president's Independence Day speech at Mount Rushmore, in which he condemned far-left theories that defame our heroes, erase our values, and indoctrinate our children. Russ Voigt, director of the Office of Management and Budget, announced on Twitter that the Trump administration will bring any dabbling in such theories by the federal government to a swift end. The days of taxpayer-funded indoctrination training that sow division and racism are over, said Voigt. Under the direction of President Trump, we are directing agencies to halt critical race theory trainings immediately. According to the text of the memo sent out by OMB, all agencies are directed to begin to identify all contracts or other agency spending related to any training on critical race theory, white privilege, or any other training or propaganda effort that teaches or suggests either, 1, that the United States is an inherently racist or evil country, or 2, that any race or ethnicity is inherently racist or evil. The divisive, false, and demeaning propaganda of the critical race theory movement is contrary to all that we stand for as Americans and should have no place in the federal government, concludes the memo. Now, I don't imagine that there's even one of you that disagrees with that. If there is, I'll be shocked that you're even listening to me. The divisive, false, and demanding propaganda of the critical race theory movement is contrary to all we stand for as Americans and should have no place in the federal government, concludes the memo. The full memo can be read here or in the embedded document below. And I don't think it's necessary for us to read the whole memo, but it is necessary for us to realize that the president is putting a stop to this in terms of any funding for federal agencies, any funding going toward that. So he is rooting it out, and it very much needs to be rooted out. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of being called a racist. I'm sick of the fact that people think that we're guilty because our skin is white, and I'm not even white. I mean, I look white. I mean, I am white, but really, in reality, I've got a lot of Indian blood. So, yeah. Anyway, I just don't want to, I don't know. I never experienced this much until recent years. And it's just kind of, all of a sudden, it's out there. It's everywhere. And why? Because that's what's being, you know, constantly, we're constantly being pummeled with it on TV, newspapers, everywhere. So anyway, let's go back and see what else we can get into, because I'm pretty sure we can get into something. All right, now let me just check to see how long I've been going here. 50 minutes. Wow, that rushed by. Really, it did. Okay, well, let's go back and I'll cover a few more things. I don't know. I may do another small video. I don't know. We'll just take it as it comes here. All right, now let's look at, oh gosh, I've got some good stuff here to cover. So maybe, well, let's do this first. All right. Antifa war encampment discovered in Portland, well funded with toilets and heaters. Agitators emerge from here at night to unleash chaos. Now this is from today. It's hot and fresh, like Krispy Kreme donut sign. A shocking new video has surfaced that appears to show a tent city compound in Portland, Oregon, housing a large number of people who are described as Antifa agitators, who reportedly join the nightly chaos and mayhem that's systematically burning down the city of Portland. According to the video shown below, this tent city, described as a war encampment, is located between the Hawthorne Bridge and Burnside Bridge in downtown Portland. Now, do we have any listeners from Portland? Because I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Tell us what you are experiencing in your city. I would love to know. I think we would all love to know, because we do see the alternative media reporting. Obviously, the mainstream media isn't reporting on it, but I really would like to know from people that are there. Do you feel danger? Do you feel that your livelihood is being threatened? How has this affected you? I want to know. So if you are from Portland or the area, please let me know in the comments below. Now, this does look very much like a war encampment, and I don't know, how can they even do that? I mean, aren't there city ordinances against that? This is like a full-on encampment here, and these are not homeless people by any stretch of the imagination, because there's toilets set up, water, etc. So this has been bought and paid for by somebody. And notice all the tents are very similar. These have been bought and supplied for them, probably by Soros. And the video shows the tent city consists of portable restrooms, emergency shelter structures, and what appears to be covered food service areas for serving foods to the inhabitants. The video creator explained that the tent city is funded by the city of Portland. Wow. But there is no evidence presented in the video that supports the funding claim. A privacy fence surrounds the compound, reportedly with a sign that says the location is an art installation. Right, yeah. Excuse me. I think we all believe that, don't we? Sure. Artists. I guess that's what they're calling the graffiti people now. It's artists. Yeah, it's an art installation. So anyway, let's move down here. It is entirely funded by the city of Portland, which they don't have any evidence of that, so we don't know that. I would think it's probably more likely that it's funded by Soros and Portland is allowing it. With startup costs priced at $214,097 and ongoing support for all three sites expected at $155,488 monthly. The YouTube channel of the original creator of this video is called Never Alone with Christ. The citizen journalist who captured this video says, "I was chased approximately 4 or 5 blocks by 2 men, one with a slingshot, after filming the video." Here, excuse me. My gosh, excuse me. Here's the video from Z Golden Report. So let's take a look at this video. Well, maybe come down here because it's a little bit bigger. And here's the original video from Never Alone with Christ via YouTube, which might ban it, which that wouldn't surprise me.
Hola, ¿cómo está, mi amigos? Welcome to my channel. I find myself currently over here close to Hawthorne Bridge, I believe it to be. Right in between Hawthorne Bridge and Burnside Bridge. The bus just stopped and took off and went down that way. But I've been wondering where this large crowd of agitators has been coming from for the last 90 days. And I think I discovered where such a large crowd of agitators could house themselves and stage themselves for such a long period of time and still be able to be so close to the center of action every single night. I will show you the sign here in a bit. Somebody has paid quite a bit of money to put this privacy fence in, and it supposedly connects this housing unit with the sky, the river, and the Willamette River that's just right over here, and the woodlands.
Did I just see a pot plant? Sure looked like one.
So the one thing that you got to notice, see right here, individuals like this, they try to stifle your free speech instantly. These are the type of people that cry about issues and then are the ones that are absolutely the cause of said issues.
Right.
So what we have here is something that really needs to be addressed. I'm going to go take a picture of the sign. I knew it! Yep. This is where they house the rioters! This is where the rioters are housed! Yep.
And you know they're being paid.
Over there.
They're all
Look
being
at that
paid.
Look. That's a look of violence. Every single night. Oh, there's Trumpet Man. There's Trumpet Man right there. I knew it. This is where they house every single rioter. Okay, it's official. Housed by the city. No, I'm coming down, brother. You don't got to throw nothing at me.
I wouldn't
Hey,
be
look at
going
that.
down
Man's
there.
about to shoot me with a slingshot.
Oh, yes, he is.
He's such a dumbass. Couldn't even hit a fucking thing right in front of him. Continue on. While I videotape
look
this
at him.
assault. No, this is where anarchists live, simpleton. There are no rules in life, simpleton.
Protecting his
Are you not
property.
an anarchist? There
He's
are
on
zero
city
rules.
property.
I am do as thou wilt is the only rule. Do as thou wilt, correct? They're just so hypocritical. They've had so much given to them off the blood, sweat, and tears of individuals.
Yep. Isn't that wild? Yeah, that's what's happening in America. It's hard to believe. And it's hard to believe that any city government or state government would allow that. But they are. They are. All right. Now, let me see. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to, well, let's look at this. Yeah, let's look at this. I'm going to cover a couple more things, and then that's going to be it for tonight. I should be back tomorrow with another video. It is a holiday, but, you know, not for me. So I'll be back. I hope you guys will be too, but let's take a look at these two last items here, and the other things I will save for tomorrow. Sanders. Now, this is the other narrative that they're putting out. One is that Russia is involved again. The second narrative is that Trump is going to refuse to leave office and they're going to have to get the military involved. Yeah, right. Sanders, America must be prepared for when Trump, not if, when. Notice that? America must be prepared for when. Now, don't you think it would be more accurate to say America must be prepared for if Trump, you know, prepared if Trump refuses to leave office? But no, they're saying when. So what do they have planned? I think they have planned to call the election and say, you know, make it appear, well, this is what I'm hearing from a lot of sources, that they're planning on saying, oh yeah, on election night, Trump won, and then other ballots coming in, and then, you know, Trump refusing to leave. And I think they're going to try and make a scenario like that. Anyway, we need to alert the American people about what that nightmarish scenario might look like, the Vermont senator said. Bernie Sanders fears President Donald Trump will refuse to leave office if he loses re-election and is calling on Congress and the media to take action to prepare for that scenario now, he said in an interview with Politico. This is not just idle speculation. Yeah, right. what do you call it? You and I would probably call it idle speculation, wouldn't we? Said Sanders, pointing to comments the president made the GOP convention. Trump was saying that the only way he could lose the election is if it was, let me get the exact quote, the only way they can take this election away from us is if this is a rigged election. Now he is making that statement at a time when virtually every national poll has him behind. Well, I recall in 2016 where every single poll had Hillary Clinton winning, like hands down, like 98 to 2%. I mean, really, every single poll said that. So what happened? Yeah, she couldn't win a rigged election. And now he's like, yeah, well, he's ahead in every poll. Big deal. So was Hillary. Well, according to them. The Vermont senator said Trump also signaled the possibility of refusing to concede after defeat in July interview with Fox News' Chris Wallace, in which he asked whether he would accept the election results. Trump said, I have to see. Look, I have to see. No, I'm not going to just say yes. I'm not going to say no. And I didn't last time either. Yeah, that's very different than saying, he's saying that he will refuse to accept the election results. Well, you know what? If I was him and I knew that there was cheating, I would refuse to accept it as well, wouldn't you? Trump has floated delaying the presidential election and made false claims that mail ballots are fraudulent and that he lost the popular vote in 2016 because of ballots cast by millions of undocumented immigrants. Well, it's true. Sanders is planning a series of actions aimed at raising awareness of the possibility of Trump resisting leaving office if he does not win. The senator will give a speech on the issue in the near future and send an email to his massive list of supporters about the topic on Friday. Massive list of supporters. Oh, insert collective eye roll. All right. According to an embargoed copy of his coming email, Sanders is planning to state, this is not just a constitutional crisis, this is a threat to everything this country stands for. Well, what does this country stand for, aside from Donald Trump? Really? Because I can't tell what the Democrats stand for. I mean, they seem to be okay with violence and looting and killing, and I mean, I'm not sure what they stand for anymore, or if they stand for anything. Sanders is also going to lay out his message to his supporters, a series of steps that should be taken now to prepare for the election. He will say news organizations need to alert people that the election results may not be known on November 3rd. Social media companies must finally get their act together to ensure that election officials are not harassed and disinformation is not spread on their platforms. Notice how they always accuse their opponents of what they themselves are doing. Have you noticed that? Yeah, it's pretty common. Additionally, he called for congressional hearings with local officials about their plans for Election Day and thereafter. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm not going to read all this. I just wanted you to be aware of it because, you know what? I don't really care about what Bernie Sanders says about much of anything. He's never even had a real job. Sanders added, I certainly hope with all my heart that none of this happens. I hope that Trump just will leave willingly. Yeah. Republican National Committee spokesperson Michael Joyce dismissed Sanders' concerns. Well, I would dismiss them too, as would any other reasonable human being. The only reason Bernie Sanders is spreading hypothetical conspiracy theories about President Trump is because even an avowed socialist like Bernie realizes that Joe Biden's radical left agenda is going to cost him the election on November 3rd, he said. I would agree with that. All right. Well, my voice is not doing so good, and I don't want to be coughing through news articles, so I'm going to leave it there for tonight, and I will save the other things for tomorrow, and also bring to you any new happening news. And that is it for tonight. You guys are wonderful. Thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and please keep seeking truth. Because, well, deception, it bites.